Well, we have completed the prophecy of Jeremiah, and the very next book is also written by Jeremiah, which is Lamentations. Because of this book, Jeremiah has gotten the title as the weeping prophet, and truly, he was a weeping prophet. So let's continue on. Our scripture reading, we're going to be in chapter 1 today, and it actually has a title. It's called How Lonely Sits the City. And that's the way this chapter starts out. It says, How lonely sits the city that was full of people. How like a widow has she become. She who was great among the nations, she who was a princess among the provinces, has become a slave. She weeps bitterly in the night with tears on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she has none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They have become her enemies. Judah has gone into exile because of afflictions and hard severities. She dwelt now among the nations, but finds no resting place. Her pursuit has all overtaken her. In the midst of her distress, the roads to Zion mourn, for none come to her festivals. All her gates are desolate. Her priests groan, her virgins have been afflicted, and she herself suffers bitterly. Her foes has become the head of the enemy, and her enemies prosper, because the Lord has afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. The children have gone away captive before the foes. From the daughters of Zion, all her majesty has departed. Her princesses have become like deer that find no pasture. They flee without strength before the pursuers. Jerusalem remembers in the days of her affliction and wanderings all the precious things that was hers from days of old. When her people fell into the hands of the foes, and her foes gloated over her, they mocked at her downfall. Jerusalem sinned grievously. Therefore she became filthy. All who honored her despised her, for they have seen her nakedness. She herself groans and turns her face away. Her uncleanness was in her skirts. She took no thought of her future. Therefore her fall is terrible. She has no comforter. The Lord beholds my affliction. Oh, the enemies have triumphed. The enemies have stretched out their hand over her precious things. For she has seen the nations enter her sanctuary, those who you forbade to enter your congregation. All her people groan as they search for bread. They trade their treasures for food to revive their strength. Look, O Lord, and see, for I am despised. It is nothing to you, all you who pass by. Look and see if there is any sorrow like my sorrow, which was brought upon me, which the Lord afflicted on the day of his fierce anger. For on high he sent fire, into the bones he made it descend. He spread a net for my feet and turned me back. He has left me stunned, faint all the day long. My transgressions were bound into a yoke by his hands and were fastened together. They were set upon my neck. He caused my strength to fail. The Lord gave me into the hands of those who cannot withstand. I cannot withstand. The Lord rejected all my mighty men in my midst. He summoned an assembly against me and crushed my young men. The Lord has trodden as in a winepress the virgin daughters of Judah. For all things I wept. My eyes flowed with tear, for a comforter is far from me, one to revive my spirit. My children are desolate, for the enemy has prevailed. Zion stretched out her hands, but there was none to comfort her. The Lord has commanded against Jacob, and his neighbors should be his foe. Jerusalem has become a filthy thing among them. The Lord is the right. The Lord is in the right, for I have rebelled against his words. But hear, all you people, and see my suffering. My young women and my young men have gone into captivity. I called to my lovers, but they deceived me. My priests and the elders perished in the city, while they sought food to revive their strength. Look, O Lord, for I am in distress. My stomach crushes. My heart is rent within me, because I have been very rebellious. In the streets the sword bereaves, in the house it is like death. They heard my groaning, yet there was no one to comfort me. All my enemies have heard my troubles, and they are glad that you have done it. You have brought the day you announced. Now let them be as I am. Let the evildoers come before you and deal with them as you have dealt with me because of all my transgressions. For my groans are many, and my heart is faint. And that ends the reading of chapter 1, the book of Lamentations.